Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of the Vinny Eastwood Show, the show where the music never stops, and nor does the scumbaggery. And my very special guest is author and natural healer, Will Spencer. Will, welcome back. Has been a long time.
It's been a while. Welcome. Thank you. Yeah.
Tell us all about your new book.
Tell us all. Well, it's after 8 years of looking at my own health and discovering that everyone around me's pretty much got almost the same problem. It's the grim realization that everyone has basically some form of fungal or bacterial infection in their bodies.
Right.
And it's systemic. I mean, everyone's got it. I haven't only met one fella in like 15 years that doesn't have this problem.
Everybody's fungally infected. What kind of fungus?
There's over 800 different strains of naturally occurring fungus in our environment, and frankly, it's because our immune system is 80% of microorganisms. Some of it is actually beneficial to us when they're in balance, but the problem is there's no balance. These strains have gone pathogenic, overgrown, and causing problems.
Well, what's actually causing the fungal infection?
Well, I've distilled it down to three different things: malnutrition, a toxic overload, which in turn leads to the pathogenic overload.
Okay. What's causing all of these?
Well, let's see. You talk about the chemtrails all the time, right? Or maybe you don't have them in your part of the world anymore.
Oh, no, we got them all right. Chemtrails are a NATO nation phenomenon, and because we're in the South Pacific, naturally the Prime Minister signed us up to the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. So, yeah, we got chemtrails.
Chemtrails, and we have toxic chemicals everywhere. Down in your part of the world, even getting a lot more clients from New Zealand. They have bad problems there now because a couple of years ago they allowed the pesticides to be sprayed in heavily in agriculture, so they're being bombarded. The bees are dying really bad in New Zealand as well as Australia. You have, just in beauty, healthcare products, body care products, your soaps, your underarm deodorant, your antiperspirants, all laden with metals. Your eye shadows are all full of toxic metals. Basically, a way of getting rid of industrial waste and get paid for it.
So it's
and
like
then
all-seeing
people call
eyeshadow.
it beauty. Yeah, right. All-seeing eyeshadow.
You know, hey, that gives me a new idea. A brand of Illuminati makeup.
There you go. That's a marketing. You're a genius.
Rockefeller blush. Rothschild all-seeing eye pencils. Yeah, it could be a new hit thing. You know, people love to be slaves. Apparently.
Well, that's like they're bred for it. I do a show with Patrick Jordan a lot, and he's the author of several books, and he talks about all this that we're actually bred, if you will, to be the slave work unit that we have all around us today.
Yeah, I in fact, it's funny you should mention the being bred to be the slave work unit. I just got some really good. This is my toothpaste that I use. It's called Ultra Shine Radiance. It's by a company called New Ways. And my mate Steve Smith, he drops it off to me whenever I need some new toothpaste, so I don't have to pay for the delivery or whatever. I just chuck him some cash. And mate, we were talking about how he's really doing what he's doing now full time, and it's been really a struggle for him, sort of getting his project off the ground and to make enough money doing it. But he just refuses to get a job, refuses to be a slave again, because he'd done it for 40 years, and that's all he could take. And I think, I don't know, what is it that causes that within us that makes us never want to really go back?
The realization of how much pain you're in.
Can you define that?
Sure. When you wake up and realize that the emotional distress, the pain, you just don't want to go back. I mean, it's Gleischer's formula. I mean, that's like, what is that? Business marketing 101. The pain of staying the same is greater than making the change. And then you remember the pain and you don't want to go back.
Kind of like, I don't know, if you, I don't know, like a victim of MK Ultra, for example, and you have this real aversion to electric shock for some reason, you know, and you never want to go back. And that's kind of what working is, because work in a lot of ways is sort of like trauma-based mind control. School certainly is. And I don't know about you, but I'm never going to go back to school and never going to go back to work as long as I live. Because it actually, you know, causes me intense pain to even really think about it or contemplate it for too long.
It's like when you were little and you got slapped in the mouth a lot. You either learned to do things not to get slapped in the mouth, or you just learned to like the pain.
Well, so not being a slave is a learned behavior, and so is wanting to be a slave, right? Maybe slave's the wrong word. Well, I mean, personally, I believe it's the absolute right word, because, well, you know, if you're paying your taxes by force, and you never volunteered for it, and you don't have any choice, and somebody else owns you, you're a freaking slave.
Pretty much.
Speaking of which, how exactly can we heal ourselves from a fungal infection if we're surrounded by things that cause fungal infections, like at pretty much all times? I mean, you can't do nothing about the chemtrails, can you?
No. No, can't really do much about a lot of it. Externally, you can only take care of yourself inside. Internally, the internal environment. That is where I find the vigilance needs to be directed. Inside.
Can you elaborate?
That is where the secret. Absolutely. Because the internal environment is allowing the pathogenic overgrowth, or actually encouraging the pathogenic overgrowth. So then by altering your internal environment, you will just do the opposite. You will discourage its growth and bring back balance. But you see, therein lies the secret that I discovered anyhow, that works for me in the way I do approach health, because it's the balance of the microorganisms and the minerals that are inside of us that are at the root of the balance. So, yeah, let's see, how is that explained to me? We have, the epigenetics is the name of the study and the science of this internal environment. And it states that we have way over 1,000 different strains of microorganisms. Some people have said they've identified 10,000 different kinds of organisms that live in us. And when they're in balance, or when they're all there, they keep each other in balance. But when they're not there, some of them are very volatile and they die off. So then the ones that are very strong and able to adapt and overcome quickly, they overtake, and that's the pathogenic effect.
You know, one might be forgiven for thinking that you weren't describing what's going on in the body. You're actually describing how society works.
It's a fractal. I say it is a mirror image inside of us, what's going on, as what's going on all around us out. So you've heard of fractal before?
Yeah, but does that mean that if we changed society and made it much better, that what's going on inside us would change too?
Yes, I believe that, because it works from the inside to do that. That's what I stand for, is to do that out into the environment. If you, what does that say about you be the change you want to see in around you, or something like that?
Gandhi said that.
Yeah, I believe that. You can do that inside your body, and if we would do that all individually as a whole, the environment would have to change inside of us if we do it externally first. But I don't see externally first happening.
Is
I
there
just don't see it.
Is there a psychological effect on the growth of fungus? Like if you're depressed or something like that, you've got more fungal infection, or is it the other way around? If you've got more fungal infection, you're more depressed?
Yes and yes. I believe, and there's a lot of research too to back this up about just looking at psychopaths. If we would just go to the extreme, they all have problems inside with their digestive tract, with their immune system. So, in my opinion and my experience, it is the fungus and the bacterial infections that drive the hormones to become psychopathic, to become suicidal, to become, you know, post-mental, PMS. I mean, all these different things. It's a chicken and egg kinda, but I know from my experience, if you get the infection taken care of, a lot of these other things just disappear.
Hmm. Well, it's quite ironic because, as far as I know, psychopaths aren't fun guys.
No, 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 because it's just when you have like a larger parasite in you, like a tapeworm. People are really pretty familiar with, can visualize the tapeworm when it has permeated your gut and is growing and larger. It gives off actually chemicals, hormones that cause you, the host, to do things that normally wouldn't do, but only to benefit the tapeworm and not you, the host. It's no different. They actually now have bacteria, have traced it down, bacteria and fungus actually tap into your nervous system. They actually, I believe it's called neural pathways. They actually create neural pathways to overtake the host and to inflict their will over you, so you have addictions to sugar. So the sugar then feeds them the infection.
Well, so it's not entirely dissimilar from all those movies like the Puppet Masters or whatever. An organism attaches itself to you, and then starts controlling your movements and things of that nature, so that it can feed itself. It's interesting that cancer is that an infection? Is it a virus? A lot of people would argue one or the other, but one thing they can't argue is that it would grow forever if it didn't kill the host.
Right.
And I think this is again an interesting reference back to the fractal, isn't it? Psychopaths, these fungally infected fracks, are going to kill the host, and we're all hosting these people, they're guests in our mansion.
I think if we just start taking our attention away from them and creating our own reality over here, and go this way, that way over here will just disappear.
Well,
I really believe it.
Let's hope so, because it appears as though the best methodology for dealing with psychopaths is to get away from them. Ergo, the best way of dealing with infections is to get them away from you. Now, exactly what kind of things can people do in their daily lives to reduce the amount of fungal infections that they're suffering? We've got about a minute before we go to break.
Oh, a minute. The biggest thing is stop feeding them. And I found that what feeds them is anything that drives your glucose in your blood levels. That's grain or anything made from grain, nuts, seeds of any kind, potatoes, peanuts, sweet potatoes, which is the bulk of people's diet nowadays.
Well, it becomes
That's why it's systemic. Yeah, it does. You quit feeding them, it's a lot easier then to get them under control and to stop the pathogenic effect.
Well, especially cutting out refined sugar and things of that nature. I mean, I think it was about 3 weeks ago, I kind of had this massive realization, it's like, I'm never going to eat fast food again. Like ever, right? Even if it's like 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm coming home from a club or something like that and I'm hungry as frack and there's a McDonald's and it's the only thing that's open, I'd be like, I prefer starvation.
I'm proud of you. That's fantastic.
Because the realization dawned on me yesterday that their food is weaponized. You know?
Hello.
Hello. Come on. Let's get with the program, everybody. Jamie Oliver proved it. That in court. That McDonald's is not fit for human consumption. It's a bioweapon. Alright? A bioweapon that you get addicted to. We'll be right back after the break at thevinnyeastwoodshow.com.
No matter where you live, globalism affects you. Did you know that the Vinny Eastwood Show has more subscribers than New Zealand Herald TV and is New Zealand's most popular YouTube news channel, where warm-hearted humour and a list of awesome guests talk about crucial issues which the mainstream media ignore? A show where you, the listener, can phone up with questions, comments and suggestions of guests. Vinny is building a hub to connect truthers with raw information they need to become active. He can help you gain further skills such as website building, producing audio and video, and creating revenue streams in your own multimedia environment. Because Vinny supports such a wide range of people in the truth movement, he is not government or corporate backed and relies entirely on your donations. Give now, give generously, or subscribe for $10 a month for access to ad-free video archives. Just visit thevinnyeastwoodshow.com and click donate.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the show that's all about business time. It's the sexiest 2 hours in talk radio, the Vinny Eastwood Show on AmericanFreedomRadio.com, 5 days a week from 10 a.m. till midday New Zealand Standard Time, and 5 till 7 Central Standard Time, and 11 till 8 o'clock in the morning if you happen to be living in the Uber Kingdom. Up late at night, like most conspiracy theorists. And my very special guest is Will Spencer. Will, do you have a website?
Yeah, I have a website, and you can get my new book on my website too. The website is www.bodyelectrician.com.
All right, excellent. Bodyelectrician.com. And one more time, bodyelectrician.com. Apparently, if you repeat things over and over again, people start to believe them. Now, speaking of which, is my assertion correct that fast food has been weaponized?
Yes. I think just about everything in the general marketplace has been weaponized.
Soft kill bioweapons.
We were to the grocery store today looking for pickles that did not have chemicals in them. And we went home without pickles.
For frack's sake.
We were in 3 different grocery stores today.
That's not
so
good,
we're
man.
not having pickles. I'm telling you. We were looking for cheese. We were looking for Swiss cheese, whole milk Swiss cheese without any chemicals in it. And we went without Swiss cheese. They're putting antibiotics in the cheese, and they're taking all the cream out of the cheese. How do you make cheese without cream? Totally, it doesn't make sense to me. And then why are you putting antibiotics in the cheese?
Well, the thing is, I don't think the antibiotics are in the cheese. The antibiotics are in the cows, because they got the cows stuck in all these massive battery farm kind of situations and whatnot, and they Monsanto-ly inject them with antibiotics because otherwise they have pus in the milk because they're so badly infected. And a Fox News team exposed this, and the story never aired because Fox News was going to be sued by Monsanto.
Oh, nice.
So now you know why there's antibiotics in your cheese. Because there's pus in the milk that they make the cheese with. Does that make you feel better?
Well, no, but see, here they're actually putting more antifungals in the cheese because it lasts longer on the shelf that way.
Oh, great.
So it's not only in the milk, but they're adding it extra because it says it on the label.
So it's like one on top of the other, on top of the other, on top of the other. I presume they, bathe it in fluoridated water as well to make that cheese good for your teeth.
Probably. And then you wonder why you have a fungal problem,
Yeah. Okay. Let's think about this. What can we do? Right? There's a million problems. And often, when there are really big, complicated problems that have lots of different things to go on, there's two things that can happen. Either one, there's a cure-all solution because it's all scumbaggery, and the answer to scumbaggery is just not being a scumbag, or there are actually a million different solutions for these million different problems, and maybe if you studied for 10,000 frickin' years, you'd figure out what they are and stop yourself being frickin' infected with scumbaggery. What do you think? Do you think that there really is that many problems that there's no cure-all anymore?
No, because I get clients that come to us that we work with, they get their health back. I mean, it's sometimes slower for others and sometimes quicker for some, but they follow. If people follow along with what we're doing, they get better.
Well, what are you doing?
Well, it's in the book.
Elaborate.
No, well, so we have. We're looking at things from a little different perspective because I spent the better part of 15 or 16 years looking at the natural health world after being harmed the first part of my life from the allopathic world, to find out that the gray coats, the natural health world, is just as full of trash as the allopathic world.
Mm-hmm.
The science now is saying that you can take vitamin C and do just as much damage as taking amoxicillin. You can eat flaxseed oil, and it'll do the same thing as taking other pharmaceuticals. It does just as much damage to your kidney, to your kidney or your heart. So there is a concern of mine. So knowing this, seeing the damage, spending literally like $500,000 of my own money and truckloads of crap out of the natural health world, I ended up. I manufacture most of my own stuff because most of the stuff's out there. Literally 99+% of it is trash. It has no relevance to your overall vibrant health. It has just as addicting, causes just as much damage long term as allopathic medicine. So I've had to become a manufacturer. We have over 400 strains of probiotics in our products. We have over 80 different minerals in our products in different combinations. We use a little bit of technology now to see inside the body what's going on, and a protocol is formulated based on what's going on in the body. And simple is, you get one of our hand scans, you follow the protocol, and you get better, no matter what disease you got. Doesn't matter. Lyme's, Morgellons, chronic fatigue, lupus, Crohn's disease, doesn't matter. Because we all have three problems. 3. Malnutrition, toxic overload, and pathogens. That's a 3. Everyone has 3 problems. I mean, the Congress in 1936, was it the Congress or the Senate? It doesn't matter. Government acknowledged that there was a mineral deficiency in the food here in the USSA in 1936.
Mm.
We still are farming the same way, only worse. The same ground is being farmed, but more deficient.
Well, on
and
top
we
of
need
that,
minerals.
How many pesticides are they using? How many herbicides are they using? How much petroleum-based products are they using as fertilizer?
Right.
All right, and are they putting in the other 50+ minerals that is required in soil in order to grow healthy food, as well as all of this other? No, they're not, are they?
No.
In fact,
my father was a farmer, and he didn't put only about 3 or 4 minerals into the ground, only but what was required to grow potatoes or corn. That's it.
So let's say, like you said, that potatoes are part of this causing this fungal infection and stuff like that because they raise the glucose levels. What if they were grown in healthy soil?
Doesn't matter. They still are full of starch.
Mm.
Starch raises the glucose. It doesn't matter organic or not. Doesn't matter if grains, nuts, seeds, and tubers are raised organically or conventionally. It does not matter. They raise your glucose level. Pathogens and parasites live on glucose. That's blood sugar.
So fruits are out then, right?
No, because if you do a blood test before you eat a piece of pineapple or a mango or an apple, and you do a blood test 30 minutes after, your blood sugar does not spike like
Really?
you are eating the carbohydrates. That is a misconception.
Well, it's because nature is pretty innately intelligent. The sugar in an apple, for example, is combined with fiber. When you have fiber combined with sugar, it breaks down the sugar properly and allows you to digest, and it doesn't spike up your blood sugar levels. It packages the poison with the cure, kind of thing. Is that about right?
But there's two kinds of fiber. In the fruit, you have mostly soluble fiber. That means it breaks down or digests. In the grains, nuts, seeds, and tubers, most of it is insoluble fiber. That means it does not break down in through the digestion. I mean, just eat corn, for instance. Have a corn on the cob, pig out real good, and see what's in the stool tomorrow. It's corn. It goes right through you. I mean, if you just do a little bit of history, I had a client of mine that was a 42-year professor. For 42 years, this guy was a professor of anthropology, and all he did was study societies all the way back 40, 50,000 years. They never, up until 250 years ago, ate grain, nuts, and seeds like we do today. Never. Nobody ever dry ground grain. For one, they couldn't raise it in such volume that like they do today. There was no industrial processes to even make it viable. And it was a 14-day process to disable all the harmful effects of grain alone. 14 days to eat your piece of bread. That's not industrial feasible to make any money nowadays, is it? If you're going to spend $14 to make something, if you've ever been to a bread factory, it takes about an hour from one end to the other, and you got a loaf of bread.
Well, continue.
It's all about money. Well, it's all about money.
Well,
I mean, up until the moldboard plow, Mr. John Deere and his steel plow, there was no way of raising the sheer volume that we have today of grains, nuts, seeds, and tubers. I mean, you want to talk about conspiracy? Here's the biggest conspiracy that I can see on the planet, because every time I open my mouth and say, stop eating these things, I get just hammered. I'm saying, okay, so you got to stop feeding the fungus. You got to stop feeding the pathogens, and this is what's feeding them. I got a list of books on my website where I got this information. It's not like I'm just saying something that's totally new. I'm not the only one saying this. I've just read enough. I've read enough, and I've had enough experience personally as well as clinically to know that you stop feeding the fungus and the bacteria and the pathogens, and it's much easier to deal with the problem then, because what happens when you try to kill something and you feed it at the same time?
it grows stronger, and it kills
It grows
you.
stronger. Yeah, and it makes it mad. Literally.
So let's say it takes. How long does it take to detox your system? Like, let's say I stopped eating bread, nuts, and grains today. Is it just breads, nuts, and grains, or is but I mean just in general? Because we know that everything's toxic now, and it's purposely made toxic and purposely weaponized, in my opinion, as part of the conspiracy to make everybody really sick, really dumb, and very easy to control. How long would it take me if I just cold turkey today ate nothing but leafy green vegetables, fruits, and that's it?
And animal products. Animal products. You need animal products. Here's another secret that was shared with me from this anthropologist. There is an affinity or a connection with the animals on this planet all the way back. I mean, 50,000 years. Mankind has always lived in some kind of a connection with some animal product, because there is no easier to digest protein than animal products. And see, here's another misconception. Animals are bad. We can't eat them. You kill them and you screw their consciousness up, and then we eat them and then we get sick. Couldn't be further from the truth. Really.
That sounded like a whole bunch of new agey propaganda to me when I first heard that.
Well, it is. See, I was a vegetarian and vegan for about 3.5 years. It took me about 3.5 years following that only eat plants until my body started falling apart, literally. My shoulders, I was very, very active building houses and very active in work. And it took my shoulders, ripped my elbow apart. I couldn't hold a hammer anymore. I was falling down from the rafters when we were working because I couldn't hold on anymore. I was losing the viability of my muscles to work properly, and my joints started pulling apart after 3.5 years of being a vegan. Okay, so that's not a good point. So then that's when I really started doing my research and started looking. Why was that harming me? And that led me to a book called Protein Power, which led me to another book, and they're all on my website, bodyelectrician.com, by the way. Suggested reading. There's where I learned a lot of my stuff. My beginning was this information. And the name of my book, it's called The Underlying Cause of the Unconscious Conspiracy Against Our Health. There is a conspiracy against our health. But it's not like people think. Yeah, it's the chemtrails. Yeah, it's the biological weapons used on the public. Yeah, it's the food. But it's all of it. And more. How about being slapped as a kid and being told you're worthless? That has a very big negative effect on your health. When you're 40 or 50. I'm just discovering some of mine. It's affecting my relationship as an adult to other adults. It's affecting my health inside because you have a subconscious part of you, you have a conscious part of you, and you have a superconscious part of you. And when you have a conflict between your subconscious and your consciousness, there is a problem with your hormones. You have a hormone imbalance. It's hard on your thyroid.
Oh, well, hold on a second. We'll continue this just after the break. Bodyelectrician.com, bodyelectrician.com. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Let's bring the music down real quick because we only have one more segment with the fabulous, the wonderful bodyelectrician.com setting up Fungus Amongus, Hungus Mungus, Will Spencer. And we were talking over the break about a four-letter word that rhymes with hunt and how some people kind of embody this spirit. And the best thing to do with those particular people is just to forgive them and say goodnight. And acknowledge that, of course, we're living in a society now where we're well, there's a fungus among us, as we coined over the break. Should be the name of your next book, I reckon. It'll be good. And it's infecting everybody. And some people lose their reasoning process as a result, don't they?
Absolutely.
On top of that, diet. There's an article just out of occupycorporatism.com. By the way, those of you who listen to the Region 10 report, Suzanne Posel having some personal issues with just housing and things like that in the moment, and she'll be back on American Freedom Radio in a few weeks' time. Once you got all that sorted out. But she released an article, linking soda consumption to children's behavioural problems. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, I think. And you talked about being a vegetarian and how your body started wasting away because you refused to consume animal products. And I think it was Pam Colleen who co-wrote a book with Dr. Mercola about the bird flu or whatever, also called herself a recovering vegan, until she realised that because of her Scottish heritage, a long genetic predisposition to eating pork products, are actually really, really good for you. And it turns out that there is a genetic diet that people can follow based upon their bloodlines and heritage and that kind of thing to be really healthy. Is that true?
To some extent, I buy that, yeah.
Yeah. So, when people are going crazy, acting totally unreasonable, just off the wall nuts, there's a fungus kind of relationship to that, isn't there?
I believe there is, totally. And there's actually, I have some friends in New Zealand that have referred to like ADD or ADHD, attention deficit disorder, ADD, ADHD. There's a couple of other behavioral disease names. They call it grain toxicity. When you eat
The
grain,
difference. Do you know what the difference is between ADD and ADHD?
I'm going to know the difference in about 2 seconds. What is it?
The picture quality.
Okay, are we recording this? Because this, you're making history here, right?
Actually, there was a douchebag radio show host who made that joke, and I'm just another douchebag radio show host repeating it.
Takes one to know one, right?
Yeah,
I guess.
we can smell our own kind.
But grain toxicity, I got a whole chapter in the book about grains, nuts, seeds, and tubers, and the detrimental effect on our nervous system, on our digestive tract, on our endocrine system, especially our endocrine system. And that's a huge system that controls all the chemical components, creation in our body. That gives us the ability to stay calm or not. It gives us the ability to reason or not. It keeps us connected with reality, or it keeps us disconnected from reality. And when that system isn't functioning, like today, one of the bigger problems in this planet is thyroid problems, as well as prostate problems with guys. That's part of the endocrine system. Kidney problems, those are all part of the endocrine system because the adrenal glands are connected to the kidneys. Adrenal fatigue is like rampant.
Fluoride. Fluoride's an endocrine disruptor, isn't it?
Yeah, fluoride is. Most of all the pesticides, the chemical pesticides, are endocrine disruptors. Read your sunscreen, the 30 or 50 block sunscreen. The titanium dioxide and all the other chemicals they put in there, those are endocrine system disruptors. MSG, endocrine system disruptors. That's in a lot of the food under natural flavorings. It's huge.
Monosodium glutamate is not your mate.
It is not. And when you start looking at labels and reading, you'll find out that it is in lots of food. Like the majority of the food in the store are starting to use it because it causes an addiction. That's why the fast food industry uses it all over the place, like McDonald's. Everything they got has MSG in it.
There is a massive problem. And it can only really be solved one step at a time, one mind at a time, one body at a time, can't it? There's not.
I believe it. Yeah.
This isn't something we can just carte blanche say we're going to ban all of this or ban all of that. In fact, but then again, I was just thinking about this. Bolivia is the first country to ban McDonald's. Now,
aren't they one of the countries too that don't have GMOs either?
I'm not sure, but presumably, I mean, if they're going to go whole hog and ban McDonald's, why wouldn't they have banned GMOs too? I would doubt that they have fluoride in the water and so on and so forth. And are we facing a global? I was talking about this last night actually. I made an ad hominem attack against a very corpulent politician here, named Paula Bennett. She's a Minister of Social Development. And I said that the only way she's going to ever help the children of New Zealand, because she's doing the direct opposite in all of her policies that she's introducing, is if we harpoon her and feed her to them. And this is the thing that was very interesting. I was like, well, hold on, I'm fat. I'm 120 kilos. I could stand to lose quite a significant quantity of weight. I'm really unfit. But just like black people can call each other the N-word, can I insult fat people because I'm one of them? And moreover, 50 years ago, and I'm not sure if you remember too clearly or not, there wasn't this fast food and everything around. There wasn't all of this stuff completely infecting and destroying society obesity levels were far, far, far lower. And in fact, they were really quite rare. Whereas now, it's a quarter of the US population is obese, and like 3/4 are overweight. There's actually only a small percentage, like as many obese people as there were 50 years ago, there's that many skinny people left.
Right.
More or less. And
More or less.
draconian law banning an economic thing like, say, KFC, Pizza Hut, Burger King, Jack in the Box, Wendy's, Macca's, the whole lot. If you were a tyrant, a vicious, horrific tyrant, who cared not about the economy and only cared about the health of the people, would you click that button to turn off the flow of fast food to America?
Absolutely, you should. Turn it off.
Can you
But
tell
then
me
if
something?
in the current state of affairs, though, they'd think of something else to put in its place to keep control of everybody, though.
Like Soylent Green.
Yeah. They just put something else in its place when they get rid of it.
A moratorium on GMO food. A moratorium on petrochemical-based fertilizers. A moratorium on fast food restaurants. Processed foods, in other words. If the economy was forced, and I'm just saying this for the sake of being hypothetical, right? Okay, I'm not actually going to try and do this. I was just wondering what the effect would be, and it's just like, if we were all forced to never have processed food again, never have fast food again, if we're forced to grow our own, cook at home, and sit around the dinner table actually having a conversation with our family while we eat, as opposed to watching the frickin' boob tube while we scarf down weaponized food-like products, maybe that wouldn't be too bad a future.
There'd be a lot of mad fungus.
People would go nuts, wouldn't they?
I think they would. There'd be a problem at hand, socially.
Well, then again, all the healthy people would easily be able to outwit and outplay and outlast all the really unhealthy people, wouldn't they? Be faster, smarter, stronger. I mean, it would cause a rift in society between those who are getting over their fungal infection and those who haven't had it for quite some time.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, bodyelectrician.com, bodyelectrician.com, and one more time, just for the sake of repetition, MK Ultra Mind Control, bodyelectrician.com. Will Spencer, thank you very much for your time today, bro.
Thank you, Vinny.
Do you have any final words of wisdom or advice for the listeners? You've got about 30 seconds.
My book can be found at bodyelectrician.com. It's well worth your while.
Okay. Eloquent in its brevity. And we will see you again sometime, bro. And ladies and gentlemen, coming up after the break, if I'm not mistaken, we will have the illustrious, the fabulous, the noxious, and extraordinary Jack Blood. Oh yeah. Coming at you live on AmericanFreedomRadio.com, returning to the airwaves, which he loves so much. We'll see you again after the break. Ladies and gentlemen, don't you go anywhere.
If you take an active interest in maintaining the optimum health and well-being of yourself and your family, the New Zealand Journal of Natural Medicine is the magazine you've been waiting for. Having taken Australia and New Zealand by storm, the New Zealand Journal of Natural Medicine is now available in the UK and Europe. Visit www.nznaturalmed.co.uk or call 01626 337 531 to order your copy now.
You
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to hour number 2 of the fastest 2 hours in talk radio. It's the Vinny Eastwood Show, broadcasting live on AmericanFreedomRadio.com 5 days a week. Jack hasn't picked up the call, don't know where he is, and he signed off as soon as we tried to call him. So, left me hanging. You left me hanging, Jack. It's not cool, man. It's not cool. Well, in either case, if we can ever try to get him up on the thingy, that'd be nice. But, you know, in the meantime, I can rant. I can rave. I can talk about some things, you know. Or you can call in. Call lines are open after all. 218-339-8525. That's 218-339-8525. In the meantime, I just want to talk about personality for a moment. Because many people who are very egotistical go around accusing everybody else of being, you guessed it, very egotistical. And they use this as a smokescreen to deny their own egotism, you know. And I'm not that foolish. I know I'm egotistical. The difference being, I'm not actually a bad person. Okay, there ain't nothing necessarily wrong with being egotistical. If you're a bad person, then that can be turned into something pretty nasty indeed. Especially if you're not the kind of person who ever admits that you're wrong, or ever admits that you behaved badly, or never admits that, you know, you're maybe a bit childish from time to time. That kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? And we've all got that sort of little demon inside of us that, I don't know, when somebody criticizes us or whatever, you know, you get angry, you lash out, and so on and so forth. That reptilian brain response. How do you know if you're operating under a reptilian brain response, which is your fight-or-flight mechanism? Well, if you took 10 seconds, took a few deep breaths, would you say the same thing? All right, you know, that time when you insulted your mother or a family member or something of that nature, and you're like full of rage. You weren't saying that out of calm, reasonable approaches, were you? No. You're operating out of fight or flight. You know, they said something that upset you, so you attack them back. You know, straight away. That's what we're talking about here, and it happens all the time. And truth is absolutely notorious for having this kind of fight or flight response. It's quite sad, really, because we're supposed to be the people. Well, we often view ourselves as the people who have awakened to the scumbaggery around us. We're often the people who think that we're the healthy ones, the ones who can think, the ones who can reason. Well, the reality is it's not true. In I wouldn't say most cases, but certainly a hell of a lot of them. You know, it's just not true. We're completely unreasonable a lot of the time. We're vicious. We're vengeful. We're shrill, shrieking people sometimes. And we best get a hold on that, you know, because anytime any conspiracy theorist says anything that's, you know, way out there and indicative of somebody who just doesn't have control over their own emotions, you make everybody in this movement look bad. And this movement does drive people nuts. All right, it actually, look, you come from a world that says that everything's hunky-dory, politics is real, your vote counts, police are honest, food's healthy, you know, umpteen different lies. And you find out that everything that you've ever built your entire perception of reality on doesn't exist. Really doesn't exist. Okay, so that's actually not just your perception of reality that was based upon that. That's actually your sanity that was based on that. Don't you find that interesting? How everything that you were firmly rooted on in your belief structure simply no longer exists, and as a result you start to lose your mind. That's the purpose of the show, to use that humour. And you can see all of these conspiracy theorists who have been driven crazy like this, you know? The people who type the word LOL, LOL, when you know for a fact that they're not laughing out loud on the other side of that screen. Psychopaths, individuals, you know, of such a nature, who think that it's you know, perfectly okay to swear at and abuse people, set up fake websites in their names and things like that, fly off the handle and say, I'm going to expose all these shills and such and blah blah blah, and they wind up being invariably the very enemy of which they speak. They're actually the very toxin that they're trying to be the cure for, and they're just making things worse. You know, we're really got to be thinking about this, and a bit of self-analysis here, because it's the ballad of the cosmic schmuck, and I've mentioned this on the air many times. Cosmic meaning big, schmuck meaning idiot. And how do you know if you're becoming the cosmic schmuck? Is if you never ever question whether or not you are. All right? If each day you kind of think to yourself, you know, look in the mirror and go, you know, am I the cosmic schmuck? Am I just really a big idiot? Am I crazy? All right? Crazy person never questions whether or not they're crazy. A schmuck never questions whether or not they're a schmuck. A cliche person never questions whether or not they're a cliche. Ergo, if you are constantly, and I really mean this on a constant basis, consistently, every single day, questioning whether or not you have become the cosmic schmuck, you will never become the cosmic schmuck. Okay? It's just that simple. This kind of self-analysis that I've applied to myself, I admit my flaws, I admit my faults, I admit that I don't know everything, I admit that I'm still on a learning curve here. I may have accomplished a heck of a lot more than most people in this particular sphere of influence and conspiracy and stuff like that, certainly in New Zealand anyway. But that doesn't mean that I'm a better person than anybody. That doesn't mean that I'm more talented or such and blah blah blah. Even if I was, if I let that go to my head and say that I'm the best and so on and so forth and blah blah blah, and everybody else needs to fall in behind me because I'm the one who's never wrong, etc. blah blah blah, I'd just turn into a douchebag, you know, if I'm not one already. Because you know, I'm just questioning, you know, am I being a bit of a douchebag here? Am I being a bit of a douchebag by talking about my own douchebaggery? No, probably not. The other question is, can you live with yourself if you suddenly realise that you are being a douchebag? And of course you can, but only if you learn from it. All of those people out there who fly off the handle and get really angry for no apparent reason, start insulting you, ad hominem attacks, call you retarded if one of their insane assumptions wasn't proven, you know. It's like, who did somebody say to me the other night? Oh yeah. It's just, there's so much craziness throughout society that it becomes nigh on impossible to maintain your sanity without self-analysis. All right, that's the ultimate thing here, and we'll take callers when we've got more than one caller on the line. So caller, and the number's 218-339-8525. And I also got this real fear, not for myself per se. You know, I think I might have gotten it down a little, but the fear that I have is that other people don't realize this. They don't realize that they are evil. They don't realize that they are stupid. They don't realize that they are a cliche. And those people are actually really dangerous because they kill people like me who realize that I can be evil, that I can be a cliche, that I can be an idiot. All right? These people are mindless zombies who really are at war with themselves. And because they're not willing to admit that, they go to war with people like me. You know? If I insult somebody, if I hurt their feelings, or if I say something that they don't agree with and they're really angry with me, I apologize. I unreservedly apologize. Because, hey, what am I trying to cling on to? Am I trying to cling on to some kind of this of me being right? No. I assume that I'm wrong. Because most of the time I am. And maybe I'm one of the few people in this world that's realized that I'm wrong most of the time. And it's only upon listening to others and what they really care about that you wind up having some kind of semblance, some kind of clarity that knowing everything is not a good thing. Thinking that you know everything, even worse. Why is it that people believe that they know everything? Why is it that people cannot admit that they are wrong? Why is it that people cannot apologize? Why is that? I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me because I'm not one of those people. Okay? Just like somebody would say, I see giant green leprechauns on everybody's back riding around with stirrups and a bit in their mouth and riding around people like horses. And to me, that just sounds really crazy. And sure enough, it is. You know why? Because I'm sane. And the reason why I don't see those things is because they don't exist. Okay? And I can think about that and just go, you know what? There really ain't no frickin' leprechauns. Can this person prove what they're saying to me? Okay, this person used a particular letter and coloured it in, or something like that. Therefore, they've been drone striked and dead and have been destroying everything. Now, Jack Blood has just messaged me saying that he had a power surged as he clicked on the answer button, and now he's rebooting his machine, so he should be up with us any moment now. And Jack's been in the game for a very long time, and you know the thing that I love about Jack Blood is that unlike a lot of radio show hosts in this business, he doesn't let it get to his head, and he still maintains true loyalty to people who are cool, essentially, especially himself. Jack, welcome to the program.
Like you, Mr. News.
Mm-hmm. What you been up to, brother?
Well, you know, it's funny. I'm sorry I'm late, but just as you called and I went to go answer it, I got a power surge over here. This has really never happened before. And I do a lot of big shows, but I guess not as big as yours because somebody didn't want us talking. You know how I get.
Oh.
They hit grid button 6-404-B4-PS.
I thought it was -BS.
Power surge. They just push buttons now.
Yeah.
And we get shut.
Well, you know, you could get paranoid thinking about all of this kind of stuff, couldn't you, Jack?
I could if the things weren't so coincidental, but then again, it was a compliment to you, Mr. News.
Yeah, on the kind of show that you shouldn't come on, Jack.
Well, that people don't want me on. By people, I mean Chelsea Manning and Hillary Clinton, who personally monitors me with a chip, by the way. Have I told you that one?
What kind of chip? Pringles?
Yeah, Hillary Clinton
Doritos?
is personally monitoring me with a microchip, and together I can use that to triangulate UFOs and ghosts.
Oh, yeah. Hey, speaking of which, if people, like, accused... Like, I don't know, I got this message from people all the time, you know, just accusing people of just crazy stuff, just with no evidence whatsoever, and they claim that anybody who doesn't believe them hand over fist is retarded, right? Like, I made something up, and I'm got no evidence to support my case, and if you don't believe
That's
me...
my argument. My argument is you're retarded.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you... I presume people have made crazy accusations about yourself. I was wondering if you might elucidate on what they are.
Well, that's how we're going to start today.
Yeah. Well, we've only got 1 minute before we come to our first break, unfortunately.
Well, we should tease people. What is, you might want to call in. What is the craziest rumor you've heard about Jack Blood? Because I've heard some real good ones. I think one of my favorites is that I shave my arms. I don't know why I would do that and what that even means. But apparently, and that's ahead of sells drugs to little children at elementary schools. I mean, just really the worst things you can think of I've been accused of. And that's why I'm on the show, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can't have a decent radio broadcast without a person who's been accused of shaving his arms and selling drugs to children.
I don't grow hair on my arms. I'm sorry, it's a genetic flaw. Blame my ancestors in South Ireland.
Yeah. It must have been one of the side effects of the potato famine.
Too many potatoes is really what it comes down to.
Yeah. I think that's right. You need to eat some more freedom fries, methinks.
Well, if I make them myself, we will. Yeah, I heard your talk about food in the last segment. I thought that was interesting, and that's certainly a debate I'll be happy to weigh in on. Can you force people to do the right thing and be healthy? And since we got here incrementally through social engineering, I suggest we get back, not incrementally, all at once through re-engineering.
Yeah. I think you might be right. Well, we're coming to break now. We'll be right back with the fabulous, the illustrious, the magnanimous Jack Bloody Blood. Don't you go anywhere, folks. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Vinny Eastwood Show. And also, of course, welcome back, Jack. And deadlinelive.info, that's deadlinelive.info. And once again, for propagandistic purposes, so that you'll remember it and think that it's believable, deadlinelive.info. Jack Blood, welcome to the show, and we need you to talk about a man named Bob Bowman, I believe, who I'm completely unfamiliar with. But as I mentioned over the show, over the break, whenever a truther mentions the name of somebody who is no longer with us, it's because humanity has suffered a great loss, and I want to find out what it was I was missing out on.
Yeah, well, truther or not, we are all at a great loss to lose a hero like Bob Bowman today. He was on American Freedom Radio all the time. He was head of Star Wars under 2 U.S. presidents. That would have been Ford and Carter. He got, I guess, replaced before the big Star Wars money came in under Reagan. So he was a physicist, and he also was a war hero in Vietnam, where he won several medals. I think he flew 101 missions in Vietnam. But later, he came out to be a 9/11 truther and also a patriot and a constitutionalist. He ran in the I think they call it the Space County or the Space region in Florida, almost beat the incumbent there for a congressional seat. If the Democrats, he ran as a Democrat, Vinny, and the Democrats wouldn't support him. So they wouldn't give him $1 and one headline, or couldn't get in the debates, nothing, and he still almost won. He's just an amazing guy, and I had the real distinct honor of working with Bob in person, and we did a lot of events around the country together and online. He was, every good definition of a true American hero. He'd had cancer for years thanks to Monsanto and Agent Orange, but he really marched onward in every effort to take this country back from the despots and deliver it back into the hands of we the people. And I've always been a little bit ashamed that more people didn't get his back. But I've got a big story on him at deadlinelive.info. Kevin Barrett, also, who is a veteran of American Freedom Radio, wrote a great story and included some of the clips, Bob Bowman on Sean Hannity and Bob Bowman doing a thing on Building 7. But when I would get the big heavyweights on my show, like Tim Russert or whoever, I would always drop his name, because when he is, wanting the truth for 9/11, when he doesn't believe the official story, conspiracy theory to 9/11, that's really a very powerful thing. He's not some kid who lives in his mother's basement and is on medication. He is a former head of Star Wars and a war hero. So, but even Hannity didn't respect that. It shouldn't surprise you. But great American, and it's just sad that he's gone, but I know he's in a better place, and I'll see him again.
Yeah, I was speaking to my friend John Eisen the other day. In fact, I mentioned this on this week in particular a number of times. There's these really great, honourable, talented, and respectable people in the movement, and when they're gone forever. And usually what's supposed to happen is that the next generation takes over. There'll be somebody comparable to, say, pick up the mantle of these great men and women that are no longer with us. And sadly, I fear that humanity's devolving, and that there's not enough greatness, say, in my generation, to pick up the mantle of somebody like that.
It's an interesting concept, and it's fair to say, no offense to anyone, but Chelsea Manning was no Dr. Bob Bowman, if you're comparing generations, because that would be, our version of a national whistleblower of that caliber, and someone who's done military service. It's funny that you also mentioned this, because when I talk to some of the experts that I know around the world, and I say, why is it that Henry Kissinger and David Rockefeller and Zbigniew Brzezinski, and then, now it's Hillary Clinton who's getting the mantle, and all these other people, why are they still around? Why, these guys are like 90 years old. They're all on medication and on machines and stuff. They're like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons, And why are these guys still around and still running stuff? And the answer I always get back is that they've used this education system to dumb people down so much, Vinny, that they can't find viable replacements for themselves.
They've really fracked themselves, haven't they?
I mean, it works both ways, and I think we have a better educational outreach than they do. So if you just want to talk about, Madison Avenue / social engineering from Tavistock Institute, yeah, they do okay, but we get them. They come out of the universities and they're pissed off. They hate government. They owe them all this money, and they fall right into your lap, Mr. News.
Yeah, I actually came to that philosophical conclusion the other day, Jack, is thank God that the government's tyrannical. Thank God that the education system dumbs people down. Thank God that there's chemtrails and so on and so forth. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't have an audience.
Well, what are you going to talk about? Here's Mr. News with sports today, and what's going on in the Kardashian household.
Yeah. Here's Vinny Eastwood with another mindless psychobabble BS speech.
Well, listen, there's always been evil in the world. There's always been work to do, and I hate to break it to your utopian audience, if there is anyone out there hoping for their utopia tomorrow because someone told you it's coming. It's not. It's going to be a generational fight forever until the end of time, until we completely shift consciousness. And you can, I guess, describe, debate, and break down whatever that means. But that's what's going to happen. The violent and hate and insecurity consciousness has to go to the peace and love consciousness. But then again, people hear that and they go, nah, that sounds boring. So
yeah,
I'm good.
People thought that when Hitler was defeated that there's no more evil. It's just like, look, the founding fathers were right, man. The price of freedom truly is eternal vigilance.
Well, I follow the money, and the money from Hitler led right to Wall Street. So I'm sure that sounds cliche, but it's the truth.
Yeah, and U.S. Standard Oil, they gave patented technology to the Luftwaffe, without which Germany wouldn't have had an air force. And who's U.S. Standard Oil?
The tattoos in the concentration camps, right? So, and here they are today, as big as ever, Big Blue, man.
Yeah. I mean, who's U.S. Standard Oil owned by? Oh, the Rockefellers. All right. Who donated all the money to and the land for the United Nations to be set up after World War II? That's right, the Rockefellers. And who was the very first Attorney General of the UN? Oh, that's right, a former Nazi Party member.
Listen, if you dug Richard Nixon up and you brought him into this day and age, he'd be horrified. He'd be standing with us. He'd be the first one to the front lines with an AR-15.
Yeah.
And I can't get any much more corrupt than Nixon. I love that. I have Greg Palast on my show this week. He's got a great new piece out on Larry Summers, who it looks like, at least Vegas is betting, is going to be our next new chairman of the Federal Reserve. long story. But I asked him in 2008, who's going to win the election? And he said Nixon. It'll be John McCain Nixon or Obama Nixon. And Nixon will win. And you look at the last 5 years, and you couldn't have said it more succinctly than that. Nixon did win the election in 2008. He wins every year.
A Nixon quote that I like to use is he accused Woodward and Bernstein of being conspiracy theorists. And later on, he was exposed as being part of a conspiracy. You know? It's what they used.
Did you ever see the Oliver Stone movie? There's a great Oliver Stone story out right now, too, by the way. But there's an Oliver Stone movie about Richard Nixon.
Really?
And Anthony Hopkins plays Richard Nixon. He does a really good job. And at one point, I think it's just before he becomes president, they're at a cocktail party, and Henry Kissinger comes up to him, and he says this: "What good is being president if you can't nominate a Rockefeller?" So it's like, basically, what good is voting if you can't have a Rockefeller for president? And, man, they almost pulled it off just a few years later. So Nelson Rockefeller, if he hadn't had a heart attack in bed with his mistress, don't we wish that would happen more often? You know, we'd be maybe even, who knows? Could it be worse? I don't know. It's hard to tell.
You know, I struggle to see how things could be worse. And yet, at the same time, I'm not naive enough to think that this is as bad as it's going to get. It is going to get much worse, you know, and so bad that we can't even imagine how bad it could possibly be. That's my great fear.
Well, you know, look, you can talk to the people of North Africa or the people in the Congo or the refugees in the Middle East right now or the starving people in Asia. They'll tell you it can be worse, and it is worse for them. And we are very spoiled here in the United States. I don't know about you New Zealanders.
Same diff.
You know, I mean, poverty for us isn't really complete massive poverty. There's always a place to go and get help. And that's one of the things I guess we could be proud of, but at what cost? Ultimately, though, it can get worse, Vinny, but it's almost as if it gets worse, then it will start getting better. So at some point, it's not that I'm wishing this upon people, and I really want to avoid, you know, revolution and civil war and a complete breakdown of the system, which people predict every year and never happens.
Yeah, every time.
I would love to avoid that, but it can get that way. And what's more importantly, it is that way for people around the world, and that's our problem too, man.
You know, it's funny as you mention this because I've stopped looking at predictions for the end of the world now and predictions of the financial collapse because every other week I'll get somebody saying, "Oh, this big planetary body's coming here is going to destroy us." Ignore. This big financial collapse is going to happen in such and such a time. Ignore. We're all going to ascend and turn into angel beings and stuff like that on August 24th. Ignore. You know the reason why I ignore all these? Because I've heard it all before and it never frackin' happens.
Yeah, it's the doom and gloom sells, and I've always been not very popular for saying, I remember, I think it was back 2006, everyone was saying that an attack on Iran was going to happen any day, and I was maybe the only person that I could hear saying it's not going to happen because of A, B, C, and D, and it didn't. And the people that were listening got mad at me for saying it, and when it didn't happen, they were embarrassed, so they never came back to listen to me again, you know. And it's the same thing with this economic doom and collapse and the end of the world. I really, you know, think that this incrementalism, this Fabian socialism has been working pretty good for the most part. The newer generation, unlike the Henry Kissinger of the world, they want to go a little faster, and that is definitely concerning. And, hey, we should all be prepared, and we should all take very seriously that the carpet could be pulled out from underneath us at any time because there has to be global polarity. That's what they work at things like the Bilderberg Group. But we got to keep in mind that, you know, there is a depression for people, even in this country, It's just because it's happening to them. When it happens to somebody else, Vinny, it's a recession. Okay, it's a bad economic climate and all kinds of cool university words. When it happens to you, it's a depression and you're poor and it hurts and you lose everything, whether it's the farm that's been in your family for 6 generations or the house that you just put everything into. You know, they're into just sucking all this stuff up like a giant vacuum cleaner. And when it happens to you, it is really awful.
See, I think that the New World Order is, like you say, going to use the old Fabian socialist model of just incrementally turning the heat up until there is nothing left. And it's only once there is nothing left that people will lose their mind, and that's when all of the, war and full-on mega depression and such will be brought in. We ain't at that point yet. We're nowhere near that point yet. I mean, as long as there's still people who own a car or own a house, until everybody's slaves, they really ain't going to try and push the envelope too far, I don't think. And I don't know if you've seen this many times, but every other month, somebody's predicting another 9/11, a new false flag to usher in the New World Order. And it never frickin' eventuates. Now, does it or does it not eventuate because somebody predicted it and the New World Order goes, you know what, maybe people will see this for what it is too quickly? And I don't think so. I think that they're just crazy enough and they've got enough control over the media that they can stage anything they want, anytime they want. And the vast majority of people will believe it, no matter even if it gets exposed within 5 minutes, like every other false flag little attack that's happened in America in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I hope you don't mind if I disagree with that. I think the reason that things don't go faster is because we won't buy it and we won't believe it. This has to be covert colonization of property and mind. And they, again, the old guard is still in charge for the most part. George Herbert Walker Bush, as sickly as he looks, he's still pulling a lot of strings here. These are how these guys do it. And I'd be really surprised until we're going to probably see in the next couple of years, Vinny, a huge die-off. A lot of these guys are going to go bye-bye. And maybe because, just like in old Rome, the younger son kills the father in order to take the throne, and they've got to be sitting there thinking about that too. So until those guys get in, I'm not super worried about it. But even then, it's so hard to sell. Huxley was right. And Orwell was wrong in that context. Remember, I think we've talked about this on the show before, that Huxley said they've got to, trick the people into the slavery. And Orwell was saying, well, you just punish people into the slavery. And we know there's a little bit of both, but all of this being Pavlovian, that's what's going to work for people. So it's funny that even you bring this up because Mueller, who's going out, he's been our FBI director since 9/11, and he's just going out now, and they got another stooge coming in. And he, on his way out, he says, we're going to get hit with another 9/11 right now. The word fear is used in the headline. Fears another 9/11 style attack on the United States. Now, when you look at the climate and people are complaining and bitching and having real good debates about, privacy and the NSA and the power, the overreaching power of not just the government, but global intelligence and space listening devices, hacking your pacemaker, hacking your Mercedes and crashing it. People are having these crazy discussions right now, and it would be the perfect time to pull off a huge 9/11. But now, they did a little.
We're coming to break now. It'll be.
But hold on, they did a little test in Boston, and I think that failed. And maybe we can talk about that on the other side.
Indeed, it'll be 9/11 times 1,000. That's right, 911,000. We'll be right back.
You're all gonna die.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's the final segment today of the Vinny Eastwood Show. My illustrious guest is none other than Jack Blood, who is a legend in the truth movement and has maintained integrity, but not an audience. But which is one of the things that happens when you're correct, isn't it, Jack? If you're sitting around saying, "Look, don't panic. It's not the end of the world." Everybody wants to hear the end of the world, don't they? And if you're right, they stop listening to you. But if you say, "Oh, it's the end of the world, we're all gonna die, get your guns and your storable dried food and your Patriot Snuggie, oh my God, the Shiite Muslim's gonna hit the fan," and then nothing happens, everybody won't be your friend.
Patriot Snuggie. I love that.
It's a Snuggie that has a gun holster and 6 years of dried food in it.
You know what, Vinny? First of all, I reach 45,000 people a week and about 1 million people a year. So I'm not complaining. You know, we get the word out. And the reason that we're not plastered all over everything is because there's a new generation that's come in and they're sucking up the oxygen, and good for them. I mean, that's why we did what we did 10, 15 years ago, is so there would be new generations coming, and you alluded to that in the last segment. So I'm pretty happy to give them the limelight. But seeing as I've interviewed thousands of experts and read hundreds and hundreds of books on the subject of deep covert operations, and I have a pretty decent understanding and an amazing track record, a lot of the people listen to us, Vinny, and don't listen to anyone else because there just isn't anyone like Jack Blood, and I'm proud of that. We have our niche, and you do. And maybe that's what it's going to take. Maybe that's kind of the new era of new media, is that there's just a lot of people, you know, having 15 minutes or something. But I'm real proud of the work we do. And now I do a weekly podcast at deadlinelive.info. We're having amazing guests. I'm focusing a lot of time on putting out quality products here that normally I couldn't do when I was live, and everything just spun out of control and people put the show on. I couldn't control it. Right now, we're working really hard to put together a weekly quality product, and I hope people will come check it out and support us. We have no commercials for anything. It's totally listener supported, and you support and you donate to us, and we take our giant bank of karma and we dole a little bit out to all of you and do what we can for our friends and our family and our people out there. But no annoying commercials, just cool rock and roll and great guests and very, I hope, unique commentary.
How many years have you been in this game, Jack?
I've been on the radio every day since 1995, you know, one way or another. But I did do about 5 years first of, I think we started our news show in May of 2001, literally just months before 9/11. And I'd done music shows and stream of consciousness shows before that. So I have a real love for the medium. You know, I don't do TV, even though I've had a lot of offers to do stuff like that. I don't do videos. I don't write books, at least right now. I mean, we're just doing what we do, and that's my art form. And I consider myself, above all else, a revolutionary poet. Yeah, but that's what I say. Well, see, let's talk about art, said the fool to the idiot. Go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking that you're kind of like a... Well, I hope you don't take offence to this, but you're kind of like George Norrie in a lot of ways. Is that you don't really change much. You know, like you stay irrevocably the same guy, and you stay really down to earth, no matter how many years you've been in radio, no matter how big your audience gets. And I was just wondering, you know, for people who are rising up, even maybe people like myself, how do you maintain your integrity? How is it that you stay so down to earth with so many years of experience to under your belt?
Okay, well, I'll go there. First of all, I'm from Seattle, so you've seen what happens to Seattle bands when they get famous. They kill themselves. It's the two things just don't go together. So I hate fame, and I've had several incarnations of it, I guess, in my life, and I usually will sabotage myself if it even comes. So, you know, I don't take myself that seriously. I have a family around me that is extremely supportive, that sacrificed for a decade for me to do what I do and what helps people, we feel, and what's putting, you know, some positive energy into the world. And I'm just ultimately committed to not crossing the line. So even though I've been called a sellout and people have made stuff up about me, they can't ever prove anything, Vinny, because I never did. And I walked away before hitching myself to these wagons, a patriot wagon, a Republican wagon, a libertarian wagon, a Green Party wagon, a Democrat wagon, a liberal, a conservative, a progressive, an anarchist. I just don't do it. I don't join groups. I don't hitch myself to wagons, and we go our course. And I try to really feed off the energy from our audience. I try to really, you know, put myself in their shoes. And those are the kind of debates we have, not because I want to have them, because I feel that people want to have that debate. So we try to serve that purpose.
In other words, you try to live your
In those
life
words.
for your audience's sake, not for your own sake, right?
Well, listen, Picasso never sold a painting. You know what I'm saying? Does it matter? Are you what success you have while you're alive in this world? Does it matter? I don't think that Bill Cooper thought he'd be as successful as he is even today. You know, going back, if I want to just drop that name, or if we want to look at, I mean, again, we could just go back to all the Anthony Sutton. We can just rip through all the old names and those guys that are gone now, and they would never have imagined that so many millions of people would have saw their work. They were doing mimeographs and passing them out in bookstores. You know what I'm saying? People were getting subscriptions through magazines and newsletters. You know, so I think what we do now, I really truly believe that what we're doing now will be remembered forever, and that's why I encourage everybody to get their feet wet, get in. You're going to be looked at going back in time, because this time is so monumentous in history. You know, we're the bridge from analog to digital. We're the bridge from, you know, gears to circuits, and from satellites to, you know, going and banging people's doors down with muskets. You know what I mean? It's a huge change in this time, and we're kind of responsible for it. So I think people will look back in history, and they'll look at Vinny Eastwood, and hopefully they'll look at me, and they'll see the work we did, and it will mean something to them 100 years from now. So I don't even really care about what's going on now. I put the energy out, I hope, to create the world I want to live in.
I was just thinking about this the other day. Let's say there's somebody in the truth movement who's got, like, I don't know, a big following or whatever, and you want a piece of that following, but you know that person's not a good person. Like, they're actually a really bad person. And I was just thinking about this the other day, and I was just like, you know what? I don't want that. I don't want to actually associate with anybody who I don't actually respect as a good, decent person, no matter what they're offering me, no matter what they can give me.
I'm really lucky that I don't live in that world, and I don't live in that bubble. I believe in ideas over personalities, and I'm really looking to recruit new people into thinking for themselves. I'm not asking them to think anything in particular. I just want them to do their diagnostic for themselves. I want them to use critical thinking, if that's not too cliche. So for me, I don't want anything to do with the existing pie. I'll let you know,
bake your own pie, bro. You don't want scraps from the king's table.
Yeah, I want to go out and make the pie bigger, and you know, let's because it's not going to take everybody in the world. It's only going to take a small percentage of people in the world to come to a consensus that we don't want violence, we don't want to be ruled by violence, and that we don't want to pay for violence, and that just gets me started. So you know, this isn't about personalities, and I know that when people start getting into this information cycle, they do settle on personalities. They start trusting people and all the rest. That's just human nature. It has nothing to do with my work or the condition that I think we're in. So if an idea is good, people will back it, and it will become a consensus, and that will become a reality.
Well, you know, we mentioned on the hour before you came on, Jack, about the old Gandhi quote about being the change that you want to see, and I think that's really a great philosophy to follow. But the point being that you can't be what anybody else wants you to be. You have to be who you are comfortable with being.
And it's real easy for us to say, you know, the jobs we have, we're really lucky. You and I are two lucky men. We're doing what we want to do. We're doing something that we feel, you know, serves a higher purpose. And we get a lot of, you know, creative satisfaction from the whole thing. And we're not going and working for wages. Watch the movie Misfits. It's all about working for wages versus going out and making your own way in the world. It's the last Marilyn Monroe and Clark Gable movie, but it's just a fantastic movie. And I actually play clips from that movie on my show every once in a while. You know, so the people are out there, and they do have to work for wages. They do have to go take shit from their boss every day, pardon my France. And they do have to, you know, live a you know, life that is at the specs and the conditions of others. And we just want to soften that up. We just want to make that not so intrusive and not so bad, because it wasn't 20 or 30 years ago. So, if we can make a little bit, we don't have to figure out and solve the world's problems right now, but if we can make things a little bit better today. I talk about positive austerity a lot, which is saving money on things that make us miserable. We don't pay for them, this kind of thing. And now that more and more people, I think, are opening up almost through osmosis on this, Vinny, I'm seeing the change all around me. So I live in East Atlanta. If I haven't told you this, there's not a box store. There's not a chain store. There's not a 7-Eleven. There's not a Burger King or a McDonald's. None of that. It's not allowed in our area. It's just the people won't stand for it. It's all local and homegrown and natural and clean, and that could be moving on.
Yeah. Well, I think baby steps got us into this situation, but the counterculture and resistance to this, I believe, has a snowball effect. It's getting bigger and bigger until eventually it's just going to wash away all this crap that is destroying our lives and our consciousness on a consistent basis. And it's men like Jack Blood, ladies and gentlemen, who maintain their integrity through the scumbaggery that are the examples to follow, but not the men you want to become. You want to become your own man, your own woman, and have your own course through life. And that's, I think, the example that Jack Blood really poses for me. Thank you, Jack, and we'll see you again sometime, ladies and gentlemen.
Stay bold, and hi to all my friends at American Freedom Radio. Miss you guys, love you guys. Thanks, Vinny.
No matter where you live, globalism affects you. Did you know that the Vinny Eastwood Show has more subscribers than New Zealand Herald TV and is New Zealand's most popular YouTube news channel, where warm-hearted humour and a list of awesome guests talk about crucial issues which the mainstream media ignore? A show where you, the listener, can phone up with questions, comments and suggestions of guests. Vinny is building a hub to connect truthers with raw information they need to become active. He can help you gain further skills such as website building, producing audio and video, and creating revenue streams in your own multimedia environment. Because Vinny supports such a wide range of people in the truth movement, he is not government or corporate backed and relies entirely on your donations. Give now, give generously, or subscribe for $10 a month for access to ad-free video archives. Just visit thevinnyeastwoodshow.com and click donate.